Tomato frogs secrete a toxin from their warts that make them stick to their predators and taste horrible and hurt and irritate them. They also secrete a glue in their nostrils that glues their nose shut while they swim. We'll talk about that and more fun tomato frog facts while I sketch this little hopper. So let's just turn the page and get started. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is 5:30 in the morning on is it Sunday morning? That makes it apple fritter day. It is Sunday morning. On Sunday mornings, I like to do a little thing where I pull a toy from the toy box, a random object from the Random Object Randomogrifier, if you will, and I like to draw it, and I like to talk about it. And today's random object is a tomato frog. Now, we actually do this every morning at 5:30 in the morning, so you may want to set that notification bell so you don't miss any of them. But this little blobby thing is one of the more popular frogs in the pet trade and on the Instagram. If you are one of the fortunate few to follow frogs on Instagram, you will find lots and lots and lots of pictures of tomato frogs. I am one of those people that is lucky enough to have that because my daughter loves frogs so terribly much, and it is one of the many ways that we have connected over the years. I send her frog pictures 3 or 4 times a day. The tomato frogs are quite popular because of their bright orange color, bright red orange color. And their squishy little faces. And their dumb little looks. They always look like Holly. But this little guy, he is native to Madagascar. Actually, this one's a female. My model is a female. Excuse me. My model is a female. You can tell that because the males have black spines on the inside of their front legs to hold on to the females during mating. And since our model doesn't have that, it is safe to assume that our model is a female.
Rick can't find the source picture.
Did I not put the source picture on? My goodness. I'm glad you said something. We could have gone all day and nobody would have known what to draw. Let's see if we can't fix that problem. There you go, Rick. Sorry about that.
I'm here, Ivy. Just being quiet.
Who's Broomhilda? Oh, the frog? Sure, let's call the frog Broomhilda. So we got Ivy in the chat. We got Rick in the chat. Cassandra, Tice.
Pamela's sleeping in today.
That's good. That's a good thing for Pamela to do. You should do that every once in a while.
I used to do that.
I remember sleeping in.
Yeah, it's been about a year ago.
It has been about that long. I've got I've got too many pencil marks. I'm starting to confuse myself with where things go. I'm going to have to switch to pen. I have not done a French Bulldog, but you know, I was at Michael's art supply a few weeks ago, and they have a safari set of domesticated dogs, and I believe there is a French Bulldog in that set, and I'm super tempted to buy it. Super tempted to buy it. I struggle with, because I try to find so many facts to talk about when I go to stuff like pets. I feel like we run out of things to talk about real quick, and so I second guess myself about whether or not we'd even want to talk about, French Bulldogs or Poodles, or is that something we'd even be interested in? And of course, it's something we'd be interested in, and that's what our nature is, that we're interested in stuff. So, like this little frog, we'd established that this is a female because of the fact that it doesn't have the hooks on the front of the legs, on its front legs rather. But we also know that it's female from her size, because the females are 2.5 to 3 inches. The males are only, an inch or so. So she's almost twice the size of a male. And that's true with a lot of frogs. The frogs in the frog community, if you will. That's true with a lot of frogs, where the females are much larger than the males. And the general thinking is so they can produce more eggs. But it's just as likely that they have a culture of liking them big, like them thick, I like them juicy. Any stab at the genetic pressure is just an absolute guess until they can isolate any subspecies that might exist, but it's all conjecture. We think that the female frogs are bigger than the male frogs because the male frogs listen to Sir Mix-a-Lot. Because the big girls survive better in the wild. Who knows? But I digress. There's a Madagascar movie, the cartoon, and in the Madagascar movie, there's a hippo. I don't think it's the first one. I think it's the second one. It might be the third one. But there's a hippo, and that's kind of his theme song when he comes out of the water. I like 'em big. I like 'em juicy. Talking about the ladies. And the fact that this frog is from Madagascar made me tied to that movie. Sir Mix-a-Lot is right, though, and he doesn't lie. That's one of the most important things to remember about Sir Mix-a-Lot, is he cannot lie. Cassandra says to stream. Oh, Cassandra, you're in Australia also. You and Tice must know each other.
It's so small.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a joke, obviously. I get that. A lot of times I'll get the, hey, you're from Texas. Do you know such and such? Of course I do. You know there's 6 million people in Houston.
Or you see somebody in a certain military uniform. Hey, my so-and-so's in there. Do you know him?
Of course I do. He's a really good guy. Of course I do. Yeah, my favorite. You're from Oklahoma. You know such and such. No, I don't. But you know, the funny thing is, I probably do. If you're talking about Oklahoma, I probably do know. I at least know about where they're from and stuff like that. But you start talking Texas, you know, you can drive for 8 hours and still be in Texas. It takes as long to get from the tip of Texas to the top of Texas, from the bottom of Texas to the top of Texas, as it takes to get from the top of Texas to Canada. And there are 6 million people just in Houston. So no, I don't know anybody, but I do get that a lot. Oh, you're from Houston. Oh, you must know. No, I do not. Thank you. No. My favorite though is when they start telling you where stuff is, and they start telling you, you know, down by this street. No, I don't know where any of the streets are. I have a 10-block radius that I live in. And that's the extent of my street knowledge. Oh goodness.
Not like we used to live where we could sit, you know, down there by that big old tree.
Yeah, turn left at the goat. You remember where the Dairy Queen used to be? Yeah, go there and turn left. That was my life growing up. Where old man Timmons' barn used to be. No. Anyway, I love frog here. Due to the males whistle like canaries to attract females. I've tried that. They puff up their chest and they scream. I've tried that too. And you could say it doesn't work. I mean, my wife will tell you flat out it doesn't work. She would tell you that it's not the most attractive thing I do. But, and I always come back to this, 30 years we've been together. You can say it's not working, but we've been together 30 years. This is my favorite part. If I've never told you before, this is the part, for me, this is the part that turns it into a dimensional drawing instead of just lines on the page. This is the part that gives the whole thing form. Up until this part, you know, it's just scribbles. But once you start adding this part in, the whole thing starts taking shape. favorite part of the whole process. Probably never told you before. So they have in the warts on their back secrete a white sticky substance when they're agitated, and it's not only is it an irritant, and not only is it it's foul tasting, but it is also like a glue. And predators find these frogs stuck to them. When they try to bite them, the frog will stick to them and then secrete the foul tasting glue and stick to the predator that takes the predator some 20 minutes to unstick from. And the poor predator then has that horrible taste in its mouth and can't escape it, and learns a valuable lesson that you don't eat bright orange things. Most predators learn that at some point in their life that bright orange things are foul. I wonder if the fruit oranges developed the orange color as a defense against predation, because that's backfired. We see that, and all I can think is, man, that looks tasty. And the bright red tomatoes of the nightshade family, which most nightshades are deadly poisonous. I wonder if that bright red color isn't a defense mechanism. All right. Bon appetit. Buen provecho. Patiently waiting for the dancing. Somebody is patiently waiting for dancing. It is bittersweet. My mom says it's bittersweet when you know so many people in your town. You know, I was born in Chickasha, Oklahoma, and the town only has about 15,000 people, and I probably know 10,000 of them. If I don't know them by name, I at least know them by sight. Let me dry this real quick. Nobody mentioned that the dryer button worked the first time, and maybe it'll continue to work throughout the program.
As you put it in the universe.
As I put it in the universe. Oh no! Pamela's sleeping in, and this thing is almost entirely vermilion.
I think that's someone in vertical, but I don't know who it is.
This is like Pamela's favorite thing. Hey, there's somebody in the vertical with an Asian name, but unfortunately I can't read that script. But hi, ends with L8U. But hi, welcome to the show. Yes, Pamela's going to miss the whole. Practically this whole frog is vermilion, and she's going to miss it. How are we doing on time? Oh, it's already 5:54. We're running late. Luckily, I don't have to work today. It was just apple fritter day. And we did start about 5 minutes late, so we have about 10 minutes to meet our challenge. I try to challenge myself to do these in under 25 minutes.
That's what's vermilion.
Vermilion is a bright reddish orange. And it is everybody has their part of the show that they like you and Claudia like the dancing, and Ivy pretends to like the paint drying, which also means she likes the dancing. And the thing that Pamela has latched onto is the vermilion.
Rick says he'll have her watch the show when she appears this morning. I says, yes, I love dancing. Cassandra, I like learning.
You know, when I first started adding the facts, it was just because I was afraid that sitting here just watching me draw and paint would be boring. And then I realized there are tens of thousands of people that watch other videos of people drawing and painting, and they don't get bored. But I really like researching the animals and talking about them. I really like, some of my models are like the Empire State Building or Mount Rushmore or the Great Wall of China. They're not all frogs and deer and some of them are historical monuments, some of them are people, some of them are airplanes, spacecraft. And I have just had such a good time learning about all of that stuff and sharing it with you guys. Can't talk, Artie.
I trust you more than Google.
That's what Ivy says. Is that what Ivy said? Ivy said it. Yeah, she said that on her show one time. She just happened to be sitting there painting or coloring on her show one time, and an acorn fell onto the top of her book, And she had just made the comment about how she trusts me more than Google, which, I think is funny. But she had just made an acorn had just fallen on her, and she says, "I trust you more than Google." And she said, "Hey, Blade, what do you know about acorns?" And as it turns out, right off the bat, I'm like, "Hey, you can boil them down and make ink out of them." And I start spouting off facts about acorns, and I'm like, there might be something to this.
Although he's 16, he's a bit childish because of ADHD.
What's a bit childish?
That's what my excuse is.
Yeah, what's my excuse? I'm of the opinion that we all have some level of ADHD. The ADHD is what gives us our creativity and our ability to bounce from idea to idea.
An apple fritter might be in order this morning, or maybe a piece of toast.
I definitely need an apple fritter.
And Ivy is talking about the frogs, so they don't eat tomatoes.
They do not eat tomatoes. They eat insects, and they do it in a unique way. Their back legs are very strong and made for digging, and they dig backwards. They sit in the soft ground, and they dig backwards and burrow their butts into the ground so that only their heads are exposed, so that they can ambush hunt. Because I imagine being bright red on the forest floor is probably pretty obvious, but they burrow their back ends underground, and then they wait for something to wander by, and they pounce and they get it. Let me dry this real quick.
didn't hear any of the story.
Okay, when did the mic start? When did the mic quit? Did you hear any of the story?
It's still not working.
Yeah, it is. You just got, there's a lag. You got to wait for the lag. Were you able to hear any of the story? Okay, so I can see the mic is working again. Did you hear any of the story, or did it cut out before the story? Oh, well, I guess you missed it. Anyway, that's why they call me Blade. Oh, that's hilarious.
Oh dear.
No, I'll tell you. Hang on. Let me finish this. I'll tell you the story. We'll extend the show just long enough for me to tell you the story. I had to switch microphones midstream there. In Monster, I think I can think of that scene in Monsters vs. Aliens where the guy just keeps slamming down and he comes up and he says, "And that's why I'm the way I am." She didn't get any of that story. All right, what is today? Today is the 12th. Ooh, I gotta get my taxes done. I tried to do my taxes last night, and my beautiful young bride has hidden her paperwork from me, and she won't be home until this afternoon. All right. So let's start here. This is, and the camera didn't freeze. Here is my version of it compared to the photograph. Let's see it. No, I'm going to tell you the story. Don't go away. I'll tell you the story. I know you got to get to church, but I'll tell you the story. Hang on just a second. Let me get a picture of this from my perspective. Okay, there it is from my perspective. So that's what I did today. Tomorrow, this thing is marked. Well,
and it is a pink Amazon dog.
I thought so. We got a little egg here, and in our egg, we have the number 107, which means that I have to pull off the shelf something that doesn't fit in the egg with the corresponding tag of 107. And this is a pink Amazon dolphin. This is a bolo. This is a pink Amazon dolphin. These are freshwater dolphins. They live in the shallow waters of the Amazon River. And we will talk about them and how they are being cut up for bait for catfish. We'll talk about that and more fun pink Amazon dolphin facts tomorrow morning at 5:30 a.m. Texas time. So you're going to want to set your notification bell for that. So, guys, I did promise to tell you the story about why I have the nickname Blade. So when we were being mobilized to go to Iraq, I was put in charge of the line to move people from the one side of the barracks where you were free to move about as you will to the other side of the barracks where you go from there to the plane to fly away. And we were told that you couldn't have any personal weapons. You couldn't have any knives, no guns, no nothing. You could not have anything, any weapons that were not issued to you by the U.S. government. And having been our first time through an amnesty check for many of us, a lot of guys were worried that this was just an opportunity for them to get in trouble. And a lot of guys were worried that they would turn their weapons in and they'd never see them again. They're heirloom weapons. They're their dad's weapons from Vietnam, or their weapons. Some of the soldiers I went with to Iraq were actually in Vietnam, so they're weapons that they had in Vietnam. And so they had some of the weapons were just really very expensive, and they didn't want to lose them. So we're standing in this line, and I embellish this story every time I tell it. But we're standing in this line, and I'm in charge of keeping order. I'm walking up and down keeping order of the things. And the people and the guys whom I've known my entire life, because it's a National Guard unit. I've known most of these guys my entire life. And they're like, hey, Specialist Manning, hey, can you keep this for me and keep it safe? Absolutely, I got that for you. And they're handing me pocket knives, and belt buckle knives, and boot knives, and Bowie knives, and Rambo knives, and a machete. One guy hands me a little machete. It's about I don't know. It's not too big. How do I get this whole thing? It's about that long. And I took it and I just slid it down the back of my shirt, and I continued on. And 9mm at 38, and just various little things like this. And so everybody goes through the line, and I'm the last person going through the line because I'm in charge. And so I go through the line, and when I walk into the amnesty checkpoint, there's my platoon sergeant, there's the battery first sergeant, there's the battery commander, there's the battalion commander, there's the sergeant major, and some warrant officer I've never met or ever seen before or since. And they're all standing there, and they don't care. They're busy. They've been doing this all afternoon. They're tired. They want to be done with it. And I'm the last guy coming through, and my platoon sergeant says, "All right, Specialist Manning, do you have anything to declare?" And I say, "Yes, I do." And I start emptying my pockets of pocket knives and stuff. And I take as long as I possibly can. Let's see, I got this one. Oh yeah, there's this. And there's this one. And oh yeah, I've got this one. Oh, and there's these. And then there's this. And by the time I pull out all of the knives and guns and stuff that have been handed to me and lay them out on the table, there's a little pile there. And in my mind, the pile's like this high. It's not. It's only like 15, 20 weapons. But they're all piled up there in front of me. And the officers are just rolling. The officers are just rolling with laughter. And when I walked out of there, from the time I walked out of there, I was known as Blade. that was the whole thing. And I never had that nickname before. That was the nickname I picked up after that. And so, that is how I came to be known as Blade. And I've lived with that nickname ever since. And I think it's since it's a cool nickname, and it makes me sound. And this is before the movie came out, so there's no Blade the Vampire movie to feed off of. I'm being named specifically because of all the knives and guns that I had. But anyway, that is why I have the nickname Blade. And when I started my artistic biker journey, I chose my online persona to be that name. That is why. So guys, thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. I mean, I drug it out. I was like, yeah, and I got this one. And then let's see, there's these. And oh yeah, this one. This one. This one. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. This is my favorite time of day when I get to art with my besties. I truly do. I run down the stairs so I can be here with you guys. Rick, Ivy, Cassandra, Tice. Who am I missing? Did I miss anybody? Mom, Dad, and the person in the vertical chat with the name that is unpronounceable in English. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. Be sure and tune in tomorrow. Same Artistic Biker time, same Artistic Biker channel. And then we dance. We dance until somebody says they see me dancing, because that gives you a chance to click the clicky thingies this way if you're on the horizontal, or this way if you're on the vertical. It gives everybody a chance to say hello and goodbye. It gives everybody a chance to ask any questions if they have any questions to ask. But the most important thing is it means that I won't be cut off